This is the newest thing I've recorded for this YouTube channel since Chungus tries Half-Life Part 3. You wanna know why? It's because new computer! Whenever I need to dial in settings for graphics or sound hardware just right, I use Half-Life as a reference. Specifically, the short little training room it has, that you can beat in like 10 minutes. As you can imagine, I've played this room about 1,000,000 times now, so I've discovered a thing or two. Granted, I'm no speedrunner, so I don't know everything, and I'm very unoptimized, but I just felt like sharing a few cool little things I found on my own, and a few other things I read on the internet. This first one I actually found while recording this video on complete accident. You see, somehow I managed to grab the suit, but also not activate the trigger to start the door. So I had to wait longer than you usually do to open this door. I found an explanation for this in the YouTube comments of all places on this video. You see, the trigger to open the door is actually not the suit, it's actually by the door that opens. So if you don't run all the way over there, the door will take longer to open. This next part just confuses me. You see, I don't play Blue Shift much, but they did make minor changes to the hazard course. One of the weirdest ones is this fence here has an invisible barrier over it, but in the original you could just jump over it. I don't really understand this, and it makes you have to walk all the way around, which is a little annoying, but you know, most people don't play the hazard course as much as I do. Humble brag. If you weren't aware, the long jump is an item you don't get until near the end of the game in Half-Life, but for some reason, they give it to you very early in the training level. Normally I forget it's even there after I do the mandatory jump, but as it turns out there's a lot you can do with it here, especially if you don't know how to b-hop like me. You see, on this part you're supposed to take fall damage because they teach you how to use medkits later. But as it turns out, you can completely avoid fall damage by using the long jump right. There's probably other ways to do it, but this way is pretty easy. Likewise, you can use some careful movement in this section to avoid damage from the first two steam obstacles. I don't actually know how to avoid the explosion, and the radiation room can be really tricky, but it's probably possible to avoid these. The long jump completely destroys this little valve puzzle, as does this block pushing puzzle. The flashlight in this game kinda sucks, so luckily you can skip the entire dark room with the long jump. In fact, you could probably do it with a normal jump. There's a lot more you can do with the long jump, but I think you get the point. Let's move on to some other stuff. If you run far back enough at this point, it unloads your holographic assistant, which causes her to stop talking. Although the game still treats her like she's talking, so you can't press the button to make her repeat her dialogue. Also, the door still takes forever to open. What a shame. I would imagine this works on all of them, but it's easiest on this one because the room is so big. And also, she talks for a while here. You don't even need the long jump to skip most of the box pushing puzzle, which is good because pushing boxes in Half-Life is really cumbersome. Using the table with the crowbar on it, you can actually skip bashing these crates. Unfortunately, you still need the crowbar to open this vent, so this isn't a crowbar skip. For some reason, the doors on this part actually make a sound if you pump into them as if they're a locked door, even though Gordon has no way to manually open and close them. As you can see here, these doors actually open and close when you go up for air here, which creates a problem if we come back later. You see, when we come back, the doors start in the opposite way they usually would, with the exit being open and the entrance being closed. So, as you might guess, if we go up for air here, they kind of freak out, and now we're stuck here forever. Or are we? After the shooting range, the game made a terrible mistake in letting you keep the assault rifle and all of its grenades. In the later parts of the training course, we can actually use grenade jumps thanks to this. Unfortunately, the only way back in there seems to be another grenade jump. This next trick was inspired by Desync. You see in his Half-Life 1 video.
So if you press that button, jump back outside and hit the outside of the lift, there's actually a level load trigger on the outside.
But I wonder, would it work in the training room? And it does in fact work. Not only does this look cool and save a crap ton of time, but it's also really fun. You can even hear the elevator going inside of the shaft when you're outside of it, so that's pretty neat. Opening the door from the outside while the elevator still hasn't technically arrived has some weird effects too. Here I managed to get it to automatically close and then send me right back down. Another little known fact about this particular elevator is that this scientist can actually come down with you to the training course. He won't make it very far because there's a ladder right here, but I still think it's pretty neat. If you try to kill one of the security guards here with either of your weapons, you can actually get their gun from killing them. You can't get this gun in the training course otherwise. Also, the turrets that come out when you kill someone also aim for the Barneys and scientists. My guess is that the reason for this is that these are the same turrets from the regular game, but it doesn't really make sense when you think about it. Speaking of not making much sense, bumping into this door without the security guard triggers it to say stuff, but for some reason, it has a lot of voice clips. It goes on for a very long time. I'm gonna put my favorites at the end of the video to not bog down the pacing, but it's kinda strange how long it goes on. Almost as strange as how long I'm going on bumping into it to see when it stops. We are now at the glitchiest part of the entire hazard course, the ending. For some reason, if you jump over the train near the end, instead of fading to black and you getting this narration, the map ends a lot quicker. But wait, there's more! Going under this train area causes the voiceover and fade out to happen at different times, which is really weird.
Congratulations on completing the Black Mesa Hazard course.
Also, the fade to black doesn't take away your controls for some reason. You can still move around just fine. If you look here, I'm getting electrocuted here because I moved off of the train and onto the rails. This isn't the only instance of having control when you shouldn't in Half-Life. In Opposing Forces Boot Camp, you can actually move before the game even starts. The game takes away your control after that, but for some reason, it still lets you get in your drill sergeant's way, which is kind of humorous considering the situation.
Is sir! Do I make myself clear? What's your name, dirtbag? Get your ass down to the training center and report to Drill Instructor Sharp ASAP. Now move it, Corporal!
Speaking of opposing force, if you're evil enough to kill your drill sergeant, then they all sound like Barney for some reason. I guess Gearbox didn't expect anyone to actually go through with this, so they didn't bother recording any new voice clips for them dying. Now that's about all I have to say about the hazard course, but here's a few glitches I found outside of it while testing the game out. At the very start of We've Got Hostiles, there's a scripted scientist who's supposed to run through and get himself killed, but you can actually shut this fire door and body block him to keep him alive. Or can you? This fire door puts him in a really weird state where he can take all kinds of damage and not die. Also, you can't talk to him with the E key. Here I'm lobbing shotgun shots, grenades. Crowbar hits. Just about everything I have at this point in the game, and nothing can kill him. That is, until I open the fire door. He runs past where the trip mine usually is, except I shot it, and just curls up and dies. How pathetic. Now onto the chapter Surface Tension, which begins with this huge fight at a dam. The Gauss gun is really powerful here. It takes out this cannon in one shot, and 2 good hits can take down the helicopter. But that's not the extent of its usefulness. The Gauss gun has a crazy amount of knockback with the charge shot, and this can be used to traverse pits really easily. I'm no speedrunner, but you can still do some neat stuff with it. My personal favorite Gauss jump, or explosive jump if you prefer, is to clear this fence and get into this river area that you're normally not supposed to be able to access. There's nothing back here but a strangely shaped hill you normally can't see, but it's still really fun to get out of bounds. I would imagine if this was Halo, there would be a skull back here. Enjoy your stay on this side of the fence though, because it seems there's no way back. I tried building a trip mine staircase, but the fence has some really weird collision above it. Probably designed to keep people out of here in the first place. But all it did for me was keep me in. How ironic. Lastly, here's a headcrab that really sucks at his job. He lunges at you in a way where it's really easy to make him fall all the way down this cliff. It seems that headcrabs don't actually suffer from fall damage, and this guy is able to walk on the skybox. Kind of reminds me of some stuff you'd see in Mario 64. Well, That's about all the cool Half-Life stuff I found that I feel like recording for now. If you're wondering how I managed to record Half-Life in HD while keeping reasonably sized HUD elements, check out the Steam guide in the description below I made. This is how I will be recording future episodes of Chungus Tries Half-Life, but I actually have a huge back catalog of recordings to go through. We actually played the entire game up to surface tension about a year ago.
Okay. I'm gonna beam these guys.
Anyway, thanks for staying to the end. I appreciate it. And without further ado, here's that Vox I promised.
Access is denied. Access denied. Unauthorized access. Illegal access. This door is locked. Entry forbidden. Entry not permitted. No unauthorized personnel. You do not have access to this facility. Sorry, you may not enter. Sorry, this door is locked. Please move away from this area. Please move away from the door. You will not get in. Entry is not an option. Will we do this all day? Move on immediately. No, and move.
Soldier, your team may absorb the damage at the cost of